Well, you guys have probably noticed that it's taken me a while to get a video out about the Caravan live stream, and the reason is it was just a very, very busy week at work. And to be honest, my recap videos that I have done pretty consistently for most live streams in the last 2 years, they just don't get a lot of views. So it's a little hard to get motivated to do them, especially when you're quite busy. So with that in mind, I'm kind of thinking about changing it up instead of doing recap videos, which do take a long time because I was pretty detailed with them. I think I might just wait, see what the commentary is out there about the live stream and do my own commentary kind of based off some of the reactions that are going on out there. Now, I'm definitely don't ever want to be a reaction channel, so this isn't reacting to anybody specifically, just general reaction to some of the commentary that's out there. And for me, there's kind of two things that stand out. One, the idea that the live stream was just this most epic thing ever, and Caravans are just the most amazing system ever. And I get it. I've done a little bit of this too when I do the recap videos. I usually try to spin them fairly positive because I've always taken the view that what Intrepid is doing is very, very difficult. They're trying to showcase this game in an unfinished state. They're trying to showcase systems that aren't necessarily easy to showcase. And I'm going to talk a lot more about that specific aspect, the idea that it's difficult to showcase these systems, because I think that's important. But for me, if I was to compare this stream to, say, other streams they've done, I would rate it low to mid tier. And I'll get into the reasons for that as well. And the other thing is this whole idea that Caravan Attackers need to have a penalty. I disagree. We'll get into that. As I said, in comparison to other streams Intrepid has done, I would rate this one low to mid tier. I just think this is a system that is impossible to showcase in a scripted manner, as are a lot of systems in Ashes. Now, it's actually to see that they went with the imbalance. Open world PvP is usually not balanced. In fact, that is something in a discussion in my guild Discord before the stream I mentioned as a way I would personally showcase the Caravan PvP, because I think that is closer to reality. Shout out to Genesis Guild, link in the description. Back to the Caravan stream, where to me the Caravan fight was so one-sided in this case that it wasn't in any way epic to me. And that's actually the reality with Caravans. Epic moments when running Caravans might be somewhat few and far between. The Ashes map is absolutely massive, and yeah, the server population is also a lot larger than most MMOs, but still we could see situations where you run your Caravan and run into little to no resistance at all. Especially, 6 to 12 months after launch, you could see servers kind of slow down quite a bit, and Caravans might be boring at times. In fact, it might end up being normal that you don't run into people in those situations. And honestly, I don't know. I'm not saying that will be the case, because I obviously haven't played it yet. I just think it is a possibility that few are considering. And the reality is, not everything in an MMO is exciting. That hasn't historically been the case for basically every MMO ever. And I don't think it'll be always the case in Ashes either. Ashes is going for more of a player-driven approach than most of the mainstream MMOs out there. If player interactions don't occur, then some of these systems might feel a bit stale at times. But if the reward is good enough, people will still engage with the system, whether it is at times boring or not. And I do think Ashes Caravans, at least on paper, could be very rewarding, as they're likely to be one of the best ways to acquire gold via the glint system. Which I don't think is a stretch to say at all, because the glint system is similar to the trade pack system in Arcade, which was one of the best ways to acquire gold in that game. Another thing that can certainly happen with Caravans is that one side drastically outnumbers the other. If the defenders drastically outnumber the attackers, then the attackers might not even bother to attack, since the Caravan itself is also a force multiplier that increases the effectiveness of the already bigger group with the healing, knockback, and other skills it has access to. So the reality is, even fights are probably going to be fairly rare. Big, exciting moments where the victor is not clear and it depends on which side outplays the other might be quite rare, and that's the nature of open world PvP. But the few epic moments that do exist could be some of the best stories in Ashes, and honestly some of the best stories in the MMO genre, and you cannot script these sort of things. They really do have to occur naturally. So again, that's why it's so hard to showcase these things, and that's why I think the real Caravan showcase is yet to come. And it will be delivered by the players naturally and organically, and I think it will be pretty fucking awesome. Just like my recent sponsors, Air and Dirt. But are they as awesome as my next sponsor, Water? Water has a 5-star rating on Yelp. It is 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen. Hydrogen is very explosive in its natural state, and it can even be made into a thermonuclear bomb using certain hydrogen isotopes. Which is why hydrogen does not get a 5-star rating on Yelp, but combine it with oxygen to make water and it does. Water also interacts well with another friend of the channel, dirt, to make plants grow, which is pretty nice. And friends, this is why people have been saying, water. It's a nice. Thanks, water. Next, I want to talk about something that has come up time and time again regarding caravans, and that is the idea that attackers have to have a penalty. I already talked about this a little bit in the video above, but the idea is to look at previous MMOs that had similar systems. They did not have a penalty for the attacker, other than the obvious one, the reputation hit you might take. And guess what? The system worked just fine in those MMOs. No one in those games called for a penalty for the attacker. Why was that? Well, it was because the trade packs were a fantastic way to earn gold, at least in Arcade. Sure, it wasn't risk-free, and sure, the attackers didn't have a penalty, but because of the reward, people still happily ran them. But somehow, despite not playing it, people proclaim that Ashes has to have a penalty for the attacker. It is entirely possible that it might be needed, that maybe we do need to have a penalty. But let's wait, play the game in Alpha 2, and then let's talk about it. I also am on the side of, I don't want to see Intrepid have to add even more systems to the game. The game is already crazy complex. Them having to add a Caravan Attacker penalty system is not something I want to see, unless it is truly needed. And the reality is, people forget that there actually are inherent penalties for attacking a caravan. Sure, they are not as severe, at least on paper, but first off, you have a potential reputation hit amongst your fellow players. I think people discount how big that could end up being. Then you have the idea that in order to get the full value of the destroyed caravan, the attackers will have to summon their own caravan and thereby become defenders themselves and take on that risk. Or they can loot the items and try to run them back to node, but for much less value. The crates with a black symbol contain regular materials, and if you loot them in the field, you get much less of them. And you likely will not be able to carry all of them in your collective backpacks. The crates with a green symbol give you stolen glint commodities that can only be turned in at nodes that have a black market activated, and for lesser value than the regular glint commodities. This was explained twice during the showcase. Let's listen to that.
And once this caravan arrives, it's going to allow us essentially to grab these outstanding supplies. Is that right?
Correct, yeah. And another additional reason why you may want to summon a caravan instead of having all your people here pick up this stuff is you're going to get more for bringing the crate unopened to a node, right? So that like material crate, you said 30 rubies from it.
Yes.
You're going to get way more if we take that to the node without opening it in the field.
Okay, that's cool. That's awesome. Now talk to me a little bit about the differences between looting here kind of at the spot and collecting the cargo with the caravan.
I can take this one, yeah. So like looting at the spot, obviously you can do right away, and the problem with that though is you forfeit a lot of the materials, a lot more get lost and as you crack open those crates. But if you're able to have your own caravan and bring it there, you can loot and you'll get more of the overall materials that way.
In addition to all of that, there was also this highwayman system that was mentioned. We don't know a lot about this at all, other than there are progression tracks for both attackers and defenders, and who knows, maybe the defender track is deeper and you progress through it faster. That's speculation, I know, but maybe that could be another benefit to defending more than attacking. And to finish up, I don't want to leave you guys with the impression that Rive thinks Caravans and Ashes of Creation are going to suck, because I'm very excited about the Ashes of Creation Caravans. I enjoyed Arcade's trade packs a lot. And I think what Ashes is trying to do is combine EVE Online's regionalized materials with the Arcade's trade pack system, because basically Glint Commodities kind of replaces the Arcade's trade pack system. So it's those two systems combined, along with a caravan system that is highly customizable, and a progression path as well. So there's a lot more to it. It's more complex. It's kind of a melding of two different systems. And I think at the end of the day, it could be the best implementation we have seen yet. So I'm very excited about it. But I have not seen quite enough yet to proclaim it as the best thing ever. It could get there, but let's wait and see. That's all I have for this one, guys. Let me know if you like this style of reaction to the live stream versus just a pure recap of the live stream. I'm always looking to improve, and I know there's a lot I still need to improve on. And with that, guys, I'll see you in the next video.